Sean O'Brien here today doing a little video on clipping. Why clip? When should you clip? Talk about clipping. Um, Forages grow at different rates. There's a number of different clovers ranging from ladino clover, medium red clover, Alsike clover, the most common of the perennial clovers, white Dutch clover, Berseem clover, Balanza clover, crimson clover, arrowleaf clover, subterranean clover, Persian clover, and different offshoots of each of those. The annual clovers tend to grow faster, and the perennial clovers tend to grow slower. Um, and so it depends on what your blend is. For example, even I left out alfalfa. Um, as a rule of thumb, you could use a 60-day from planting, from when you plant your clovers to when they tend to be mature. Mother Nature could come into play. Now, the annual clovers will mature a little bit faster than the perennial clovers. Heat, moisture, soil type, if there's shade, full sun, those factors affect growth habits. No matter what forage you're planting, when they move into reproduction, forages have early growth, then they have vegetative growth, then they have late vegetative growth, then they start blooming, blossoming out. And when they're blooming and blossoming out, more of those nutrients that the plants are taking up either from the roots or if you're foliar feeding through the leaves, sun, water, photosynthesis, those whole processes that are coming into play. Um, when the plants are moving, every day as they're moving towards maturity, they're losing protein, they're losing mineral content, you're losing sugar content, which affects palatability, you're losing energy content. So what happens is when your forages are starting to blossom out, it takes nutrients to produce a viable seed head. So that plant is changing its growth habits from vegetative growth, with producing more leaves and things and inner cell fluids, uh, and energy in that, to putting more of those groceries into the seed head because that's how it reproduces. All forages will reproduce. So, you're uh, when you're talking alfalfa, your relative feed value will drop 1 to 5 points a day. In the June time frame, yeah, when we get into late July, August, I mean, you won't lose quite as much relative feed value per day. Clovers won't mature quite as fast as alfalfa, but again, you're losing quality every day. Um, when it's in early vegetation, your clovers, your ladinos, medium reds, um, L-cycles could be 26, 28. Some people could say 30, 32% protein, small period of time. But so typically you see 26, 28% protein on early vegetation. Starts to get late vegetation, those numbers are probably 22 to 24% protein. Medium red clover will drop in quality faster than the ladino clover. And so again, the ladinos, also like medium red clovers, are going to be below 20% protein when they're converting their nutrients into setting a viable seed head. The mineral contents will be dropping 10 to 25% fairly rapidly. Your energy levels will drop 25% within a couple of weeks of time as well. So the period of time when it's late vegetation, when they're starting to blossom out, to when they're fully blossomed and those numbers really are start plunging on the protein, energy, mineral contents, you're looking at about 2 weeks. So um, deer are selective browsers. They eat what they eat for a reason. They prefer forages that are better quality, sweeter, higher nutrition plane. So if there's other better choices, they're going to shut down eating your clover plots. Yeah, if there's not many better options, they still might eat your clovers. And again, it just depends on where you're at, deer densities, other available um, browse. So some people say, well, you'll need to clip. Well, for those you are like me that practice integrated weed management where we don't really want to be spraying unless we have to because we want to have healthy soil. We don't want to um, uh, and part of it could be budget purposes. A lot of times you don't even need to spray if your weed levels are below threshold level. Everybody has to decide their own threshold level, and a lot of times you might be clipping the tops of your plants off. The weeds are probably sticking above those to prevent the weeds from producing viable seed heads, dropping weed seeds back into your soil, which will regrow or grow at some point in time, current season, following seasons. So clipping, from my standpoint, number one, quality. Two, integrated weed management. Three, when forages, most clovers, alfalfas, annual clovers, are in produce viable seed heads, um, your growth is pretty much ceased. You clip, and if you don't clip too low, you don't shut the roots down, you're going to get regrowth. The other thing that people don't talk about is some clovers that once they produce viable seed heads, you're not bringing them back out of reproduction. Things like balancer fixation clover, which has a tighter window, if the plant will turn brown, you clip it, it's done for the year. You cease the quality, you cease the yield uh, producing abilities. So, yes, things like white Dutch clover and lodinos can blossom out and not quite go to the big detrimental quality regrowth of, like I said, fixation, frosty burstium, and that. So, when you're planting annual clovers, you got to keep them clipped. When you're talking perennial clovers, yes, you got to clip. I don't know why you wouldn't clip. So even the people say, well, you don't need to clip. Okay, even if you're not worried about that yield, and some people might say, well, yeah, but you're not seeing a big total per year yield difference. Well, that means that you got other management factors that are coming into play. You're not fully feeding, you're not clipping at the right height, right time. Maybe you need to consider a different type of blended clovers. But how many people out here don't want maximum quality, don't want maximum protein, don't want maximum minerals, don't want as much energy? Here's something that'll bring. Let's say you don't care about protein, you don't care about mineral content. Those things do affect palatability of your forages, your plants. So why wouldn't you want the deer to be more attracted to what you're planting? But think about this: deer eat to meet their energy requirements. If you have a higher energy packed, energy dense forage, say you got 3 tons of forage dry matter that could be produced per year by the blend you planted. If it's 10, 15, 20% higher in energy, you can feed more deer throughout the year. Your ability, your plot stocking density, your ability to feed more deer is increased when you have more energy dense forages. And there's a lot of ways you can manipulate your forages to make them more energy dense, but the easiest, the best, the least expensive is to clip when they're at late vegetation, early bloom, to get new quality regrowth. Some things to think about from John O'Brien. Topic is clipping.